Common Purpose is a live stream podcast featuring Tim Kelly, a Chattanooga-based businessman and mayoral candidate who loves this city and has made his life here. Beyond the conversation, Common Purpose is a show about elevating the bonds that unite us as a community and resisting the forces that would tear us apart.
Welcome to Common Purpose, a podcast about elevating the bonds that unite us right here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm Tim Kelly. Today we're tackling part 2 of a topic that bridges the political divide and one of Chattanooga's great competitive advantages, which is outdoor recreation and all the incredible assets we've got here in Chattanooga. Today I'm joined, now again, this is part 2 of a 3-part series on outdoor recreation. We had Randy Horton on. We'll still have Chad Weichel on to talk about the Land Trust of Tennessee. But today we have the privilege of being joined by Moise Baptiste, my relatively new friend, who's got a great story to tell. And he and his wife, relatively recent additions to Chattanooga. And Moise is the founder of Wakanda TrailblazUS, right? And without further ado, I'll let you explain to the audience what that's all about.
Yes, again, thank you for having me on, neighbor.
Yes, sir.
Wakanda TrailblazUS is Wakanda TrailblazUS.
Ah.
So I took the ER and took the US because I wanted the inclusivity to be at the end to make sure that's the last thing they say, right? When you say TrailblazUS.
Yes, indeed.
And so, I got the T-shirts.
It's a great looking shirt. I mean, everything, man, the logo, the colors, it pops. It's great looking.
Thank you. Actually going to be seasonal, so they're going to change with the seasons.
That's good stuff.
Let's play around with it. But just encouraging people of color and to get out in the outdoors.
Yep.
I've been excited about this movement, I would say, that's starting to happen. And for me, I started out maybe a year and a half ago training for my first full marathon. And I got bored with it and wanted to do something new. And I was down in Atlanta and then driving back to Chattanooga. I said, let me stop in Kennesaw because I saw this trail on the app and I just ran it 10 miles, my first trail run. Yeah. And I was like, this hurt, but it was so much fun. And I said, I got to do this again.
That's awesome.
And and been doing it ever since.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's what we're just talking to Randy in the last podcast about. What an incredible advantage all this is for Chattanooga residents and how it's not, we don't utilize it enough, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for mental health, for physical health, there's no place like Chattanooga to be able to get outside, and yet, a lot of folks either can't or don't or won't access it. So tell me about that, and then I'm going to throw more on you, and then just kind of tell me how you and Shawani got to Chattanooga. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned. I do look at it holistically. My goodness, a year and a half ago, I was about 45 pounds heavier. Stressing, work-related stuff, and just realized that something wasn't right, and I knew I need to do something different. But just being out there on that trail running, hiking, it was just, I could feel myself decompressing and the stress relieving, and I'm like, there's so many people that need this right now. And, I'm thinking right now in the fall, the bugs are gone, so this is the perfect time to be hitting these trails, dress warm, and hit those trails because it's so beautiful out there, and we're designed to be out there as human beings. We're designed to be out there. So now more than ever, it's the time to be taking a big, deep breath outdoors.
You got it, man. Particularly during COVID, Randy and I talked a fair amount about that, right? Yeah. There aren't many silver linings to this dark cloud, but one of them definitely is turning on that light bulb for folks and getting them outdoors. One of the few places you can safely be. Right. And what a great opportunity to get folks out and get them to realize, and of course, Chattanooga has outdoor Chattanooga. We've talked a lot about how we might really kind of amplify that and how it might function both better for everybody, but specifically in a more inclusive way. Right. How do we get kids, from urban neighborhoods out on the trails? I mean, that and using all these incredible outdoor assets. You got some ideas about that?
I do, and I think that it's an approach that I don't think is used enough. Right. And I think as a businessman, you definitely appreciate this. I think that when it comes to programs, I love nonprofit organizations, but there has to be some kind of economic gains, especially for young people. If you want it, you got to sell it to them, but you got to show them the money that's also involved.
Yep.
I was doing some research and looked up some outdoor statistics as far as economics, and the numbers that I saw were so eye-popping, and I got to continue to do some more research, but I saw one 2017 when it came to the outdoor industry from on every level. I saw a number like $866 billion. And that gave me chills.
Oh, yeah.
Like, wow. So if that's the kind of money that's being generated around the outdoors, my goodness, if we can sell that.
Oh, you got it.
And so I think there's some entrepreneur opportunities that we can begin to tap into that would definitely get the interest of urban youth and any youth as well as the outdoors.
Right, exactly. And then again, as Randy and I were talking about too, it's not just any city, right? We've got more in terms of trail networks, and you think about the river and the paddleboarding and the climbing and the hiking and all that. There is no place like Chattanooga for that.
Absolutely.
And you're right on the doorstep of Atlanta, right? We talked a little bit about that.
Being in the perfect location as it relates to the Holy Triangle, what I call it, with Nashville, Birmingham, and Atlanta. And Chattanooga fits perfectly in this perfect little bubble that utopia that people can come and escape to. So I think it's really about how we sell Chattanooga, but more so how we sell the outdoors. And I think if we build it, they would come, but it's already built. Yeah. So they'll come.
Maybe more of a marketing problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, can you talk about like your experience in getting people out on the trails that have never been out there before? What are the obstacles and barriers? And
well, I'm Haitian, I'm first generation American, so I've had the opportunity to learn about how, those from the United States who look like me have been socialized to think about the outdoors. Right. So being Haitian from the Caribbean is a totally different experience. Right. My mom was here a couple of weeks ago, and she was marveled about Lookout Mountain because it reminded her of walking bare feet, in her village, home. And she, the next day at 78 years old, she did a 5-mile hike at Raccoon Mountain.
Is that right?
And wanted to do it again the next day.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to rest. She was like, no, I want to go again. So, it reminded her of home. So there's a lot of, I think about movies. I think about, movies is a big one, I think, as far as, I'm a sociologist, so I can't help but think about those images of what we're, sold, about what we think about the outdoors. That's where all the killings happen and murders and
wild animals.
And Lord, snakes,
and snakes. Good God.
So, the fear of snakes. So, I think that it's like almost we got to do some deprogramming, some reprogramming, and I think just exposure. Because I've heard people from Chattanooga who say, it's been a long time. It's been since I was a kid. Like Raccoon Mountain, they talk about some kind of slide that.
Yeah, there used to be a slide. You get on a little cart and go down it, and it seems like, it was a long time ago, but I did it as a kid. Yeah.
And those are the stories that I hear, and I said, y'all know there's another side to that mountain,
right?
And some of them got to explore it on Halloween morning. We had a nice group of people, and they were just blown away by walking on the dam and then hitting the trail, and then we walked to the East Overlook, and they were just blown away. Yeah. And I'm like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. So I think that, I mean, it does hurt to be, that look like me, to get people like me to come out. Yeah. And so I'm definitely maximizing that. And, I post stuff on social media, and I'm still new to Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But it does work.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, every chance I get, I'm posting something related to the outdoors. And I think I know more than I give myself credit for, so I need to start getting that out too. And I think that would also help, demystify some of the fears that we have about.
I'm just going to say, a lot of it is about fear and about trust, right?
Yes,
and seeing somebody that looks like you out there doing it, and nothing bad's happening.
Exactly.
It's all good.
Right.
And the benefits that come from it, as you say, particularly at a time like this, not just for physical health, but for mental health.
Absolutely.
Are significant, right?
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Well, you are a sociologist, a PhD sociologist, correct?
Yes. I've historically studied education, but
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
Have you got any particular perspective on it? You talked a little bit about it, but maybe you talk a little bit about your perspective, your professional perspective on all of this.
As far as the outdoors.
Yeah.
Again, it's I got a buddy of mine at Morehouse. Shout out to Dr. LeVar Smith. He keeps telling me, like, Mo, this is the niche for you from the academic perspective. You can really lean on this and do the work that you're doing. And I'm still wrapping my mind around the academic part. I'm really more so focusing on the entrepreneur part, but also it's how just tying that into the essence of who I am, and that's to educate, but with this new love, with the outdoors, and learning how to explain it and teach it to people that look like me, and anyone who, just to help demystify. Because I think there's so much benefits to being out there, and so we need to be out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, so switching gears to the entrepreneurship, talk a little bit more about what you got in mind, in terms of how you might, some ideas around.
So when I first got here, and I think I told you that when my wife and I first got here from Ithaca, New York, we were recruited to come Chattanooga, UTC, to be professors. We fell in love with this city right away. Yeah. It was a feeling. It was only there for a day, but it was a feeling.
Right.
And then I had to say that feeling slowly but surely was chipped away.
Yeah.
And it was tough.
We have talked about this.
Yes,
and a lot, we can get into that a little later.
Right. But the truth, and some people don't want to hear that truth.
Exactly.
But they need to hear that truth.
Yeah.
And it was tough.
Yeah.
But my wife was winning, and we was like, we got to keep going.
She's a very talented woman.
Man,
a lot of people that recognize that. Thank goodness. Yeah.
Yes, she's a beast.
Yeah.
And she's doing very well. But I think for me, I look at it as a blessing because, I did work so hard, school, everything. My dad has 5th grade education, and I'm the first in my family to go to middle school. So to get a PhD but graduate high school with a 2.1 GPA and 14 ACT, I tell people I'm almost like a walking miracle when it comes to defying some odds, right? And I look back at my life like, man, did this really happen? I'm dreaming, just sitting here with you talking about the outdoors. I feel like I'm in a dream, but it's an opportunity to do something new, something different, and be innovative, but not reinvent myself, but just applying any and everything I know in a new context.
Yeah.
And what greater one than the outdoors?
Absolutely.
And so I'm excited about that. So I fall in love again with the Chattanooga and focusing on the outdoors, outdoor community. And I've met some wonderful people. Yeah. My goodness, the amount of people that's asked to help me, and saying, we believe in your what you're doing, and we want to help you.
Yeah.
One guy, I think it was someone who told me, look, you want me to sweep, I'll sweep, man. I just want to push and help you guys get this off the ground.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about, again, I think, again, it's about selling Chattanooga. I think it's how we sell Chattanooga. I think there's some vacation packages that can be tied to the outdoors, to a whole new population that's never thought about vacationing in this way.
Yeah.
But now is the time to vacation this way.
Absolutely.
It's extremely affordable.
Yep.
Chattanooga is very affordable. Again, we can show you pictures, but to see it with your own eyes and experience it. And so I think it's about how we sell it and who's selling it.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of people that could benefit from the beauty of this city.
I totally agree. And Atlanta is funny. I went to business school down there at Emory, and I'm always amazed. My theory has always been that it's because, if you watch this is kind of a probably an oversimplified theory, but you watch the evening news or morning news, any news in Atlanta, there's Atlanta, and then they show Dalton and Savannah and probably Columbus, and that's it, right? It's the state of Georgia. And people, I went to business school with people at Emory who were like, now where's Chattanooga?
Wow.
So help me. I mean, I could get there quicker than they could get down 400 from Johns Creek. And we're right here, right? And so, again, we're not just, Chattanooga's more than a tourist destination, but as an economic opportunity, man, it's a huge opportunity to get people either up from Atlanta. Atlanta roughly 8 times, depending on whether you're looking at people or money, 8 to 10 times the size of Chattanooga. If you look at the whole metro area, that's a heck of an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Because we got something that they ain't got, and they will never have, right?
Right,
So
right.
it's exciting. Or down from Nashville, for that matter, It's
It's funny. I was thinking
Yeah.
about doing some hiking in Nashville,
Yeah.
and I ran into a person like, "No, man, we go to Chattanooga. What's
Right.
wrong with you? No, stay in Chattanooga. Trust. That's where you want to stay."
Well, Randy, on the last podcast was talking about, we talked a little bit about possible impact. I worry about, oh man, if this works and we get all these people here. But his point was, if you look at, the big outdoor meccas like Boulder, they're so much bigger, and they're right on the edge of Denver, which, is roughly like Atlanta. And of course, we always need to be mindful of impact. But we've got so many trails and so many assets here that if we spread the impact out, we can. It's manageable.
Absolutely.
Right. And
so.
It's exciting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say this. I'm thinking about exposure. I'm thinking about Calvin Donaldson Elementary School, which is, tied to the outdoors, and how getting students and young people exposed as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And again, if it's in part of the curriculum, if it's part of the culture of the city in every aspect, then, because everybody wins as far as if the outdoor industry wins.
That's what I'm looking. I think Chattanooga's the core of Chattanooga's brand's about, broadly speaking, maybe too broadly speaking, sustainability.
Right.
But if you think about the more attractive, accessible parts of that big, muddy word, it's access to the outdoors that really brings it home to people. Because when you realize, what that can provide, you want to preserve it, right?
Absolutely.
That's really at the core of sustainability. Well, how can we get kids out, and expose them more? Because that's been a challenge historically.
Yes, it has. And I have to, the red tape, such as legal, it's because I've hear the nature reserves and Lula Lake, and we want them here, get them here. If y'all get them here, we'll do the rest. So it has to be some kind of relationship, right? Where we meet halfway, and parents got to be involved too.
They do, yeah.
And which means
a lot of the parents, if they're scared and they're like, my kid's not going to get eaten by a bear, if that's what they think's going to happen. And it can be a challenge.
And I think with the community hikes that I've been having, if the parents are comfortable, they'll bring the children.
Right.
So I'm looking forward. For example, I just got my membership for the nature reserve here.
Oh, great!
I'm super excited. Never been, but I just paid for the membership, and on Saturday I'm going to go experience. But just from the pictures that I've seen, as relates to the animals and the wild, the
reflection
nature.
Riding down there. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
And if people saw that,
and and it's one of those things that not many people go over 41 towards Lookout Valley unless you live in Lookout Valley. You probably don't get there that way. You probably go the freeway, the old 41. Oops, there's my mic. Old 41 is what goes over the saddle of the mountain and down there, and it's just a little turn. You never know it if you don't go past it, and you would never turn down there because there ain't nothing else down there. But man, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. I mean, it's really something. The trails are beautiful. There's a big bamboo, not bamboo. People get mad when you say it's cane around here, but it's just amazing. You're right there at the foot of the mountain, and like I say, they have the assets there. They got a bald eagle. They've got an osprey. They got some red wolves. They've got owls. And then they've got the. It's just beautiful. It's an amazing place and a great place I would say probably the single best place to take folks that are brand new to the outdoors. That's not going to freak them out or intimidate them.
Again, that's so sellable.
Yeah.
You can sell that.
Yes, you can.
It's so, and I think there's a lot of people around here that are going to be so blown away by the example going on.
And we've talked about this too, right? But I think when Outdoor Chattanooga was first conceived, the idea was to really use it as a clearinghouse or a hub to connect people coming to Chattanooga for the first time, or even Chattanoogans who just wanted to get in the outdoors, a resource hub, right? And so I think we can use that more effectively to connect, work with the what is now the Chattanooga Tourism Company, what was the Convention and Visitors Bureau, so that when people come in, they do all this advertising, right? Bring it, and you know what they're selling? The outdoors, mostly. Right. But we're not connecting the dots, right? So that folks coming in know how to use the resources, and wayfinding is part of that, but connection to resources is part of that too.
Yeah.
So, I hope you'll was it, you met Mark McKnight, I guess? Did you the director down there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he will. You're in for a treat.
Cool.
A real treat.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Well, we're about out of time, but last question, it's an easy one. I asked Randy the same thing, to be fair.
Okay.
You hadn't been here quite as long as Randy, although Randy's a transplant too. If you've got people, and you may have already answered this with your mom, but you got people coming into town for the first time to Chattanooga, where do you take them? What do you show them?
Well, now I'm so outdoors focused that there's certain trails depending on their ability level.
Yep.
But anything related to a waterfall,
Yeah.
is so easy. So really I start off with the trails. Food, my diet is kind of interesting and strict, so I'm not really a foodie. So, but I know that this is a big foodie town, so that's easy.
Yeah.
So that's literally it's straight outdoors.
Yeah.
There's some views that you need to see, and that's where I start.
That's great. Yeah. So if people want to find out more about Wakanda, and how do they get a hold of you?
All right. So again, it's Wakanda TrailblazUS. That's Blaze, BLAZ. US, not ER.
Just give it this.
Here's the shirt. Look for this logo
That's a great
right here.
shirt, man.
All right, and my name is Moise, Moise, and I got to help people pronounce that.
Yeah.
Moise Baptiste, Baptiste, and that's my social media: Facebook, Wakanda TrailblazUS, and please get out the doors, take a deep breath, and get out there.
Well, what you're doing is fantastic. I mean, much needed. I mean, again, I think the lack of access and equity issues around the outdoors is one of the things that's been holding back public support, I think, in a way, because the outdoors is not just for middle class white folks. I mean, It's ridiculous, right? So God bless you for doing what you're doing, and keep it up. I mean, it's a calling, I think, one that should be super rewarding. And so thank you, and thank Dr. Baptiste for coming on with us. It's been great having you. Coming up next, we're going to have next episode's Chad Weichel, Southeast Director of the Land Trust of Tennessee, and that should be a great conversation about connecting assets here, protecting assets, and creating even more trails, to go out and enjoy. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Please feel free to chime in with your feedback and let us hear your voices. We'll address some Q&A on here in future episodes. I'd also like to thank Summer Dreggs, the local artist, for contributing his music to this podcast, and OCI for this sturdy furniture we're sitting in. You've been watching Common Purpose. I'm Tim Kelly. Stay healthy and stay hopeful, Chattanooga. Thank you.
It's cliche to say